It's a brand new exclusive event with all your favorite South Park characters.
Dude, school is going to be so awesome today. I had explosive diarrhea all night.
I like big boobs.
Oh, hamburgers.
How does this even make any sense?
It makes perfect sense. I think the problem is you.
Nothing has brought me greater joy than watching the Walt Disney Company absolutely panic over the last few weeks. They're mad at South Park because they're making fun of their woke ideologies, constantly race swapping or religion swapping everything in their movie.
The last time I had the dream, I was walking down the school hallway, and that's when I started to notice that something's wrong. Everyone I cared about has been systematically replaced. And finally I want to scream, and I'm like, why are they replacing every single character with someone who is diverse?
Exactly what they're doing, and that is why we hate the diversity, equity, and inclusion casting and writing in movies.
I just want to tell you guys about a little incredible movie that just came out, Snow White. Wow. I just got to tell you, best movie I've seen in years, and there have been some really good films lately. Madam Web, Rebel Moon Part 1, that movie, that transgender one with the Mexican drug lord. But Snow White blows them all away. Chat, this movie has everything. Horrifying, CGI, little people, check. A feminist princess who don't need no man, double check. Diddy dance party at the end, double Diddy check. All this to say, go see Snow White right now. The new one, not that old stupid one where the princess gets saved by some good, upstanding guy.
What happens when the Magic Kingdom faces a magical beatdown? Disney's Snow White adaptation ignited a firestorm, but they weren't prepared for the comedic napalm from South Park. This is the inside story of a studio in crisis, a fan base in revolt, and the cartoon holding up a mirror to the madness. Is this Disney's woke reckoning? The Walt Disney Company is reportedly in a state of considerable unease.
This truly is the worst casting, maybe, in the history of the film industry.
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
They face a significant two-pronged problem: intense fan backlash over the live-action Snow White adaptation, and a biting satirical assault from South Park. The irreverent animated series has reportedly struck a nerve by targeting what its creators see as Disney's increasing embrace of woke ideologies. South Park, known for its audacious commentary, appears to be directly lampooning this practice, causing consternation within Disney's Burbank headquarters. This satirical attack materialized in a highly anticipated event, reportedly an episode titled Into the Panderverse. The title itself is a clear commentary on Disney's recent adaptation strategies. Reports indicate the episode directly targets Disney's perceived prioritization of diversity through superficial race and gender swapping.
You don't particularly see people who, look like me or are me playing roles like that. So it was definitely, when it got announced,
White! He wasn't a stalker, by the way.
Thing that was trending on Twitter for days because all of the people were angry.
In a move mirroring the Snow White casting controversy, South Park reportedly reimagines its own iconic characters, Cartman, Stan, Butters, and Kenny, as adult women of color. This bold parody visually and narratively represents South Park's view of a formulaic and often superficial approach to inclusivity. The intent, according to commentary, is to highlight the perceived absurdity of Disney's alterations, especially when a character's identity is linked to race or gender, as with Snow White's name and fair complexion.
In addition to that, there was already an uproar about her being cast as Snow White because she is not Caucasian, she is a Latina, she is half Colombian, and so people were like, why were you cast in the first place? We just had a black Little Mermaid, now we're having a Latina Snow White, and she is literally called Snow White. This doesn't make sense.
Into the Panderverse functions as critical commentary on the motivations and potential pitfalls of these adaptation strategies. By applying this logic to their own characters, South Park aims to expose perceived flaws and potential for ridicule, forcing a confrontation with the assumptions and implications of race and gender swapping, potentially sparking a wider discussion on meaningful representation. The episode's impact and controversy are likely to amplify the pressure on Disney. The casting of Rachel Zegler, a Latina actress, as Snow White, traditionally depicted with skin as white as snow, is central to the controversy. While intended to promote diversity, it has drawn criticism from audiences arguing it alters a core characteristic. Further fueling the issue are Zegler's comments downplaying the traditional romance and suggesting a reduced or removed Prince role. Many fans interpret this as disrespectful to cherished elements, finding the potential elimination of the love story particularly upsetting. This disconnect between Zegler's perspective and audience expectations has intensified the controversy and provided fodder for South Park's satire. highlighting the challenge of modernizing classics while respecting their core elements. Reports of Rachel Zegler's demeanor during press appearances have reportedly further alienated Disney fans. Instances of her reportedly mocking the original story, including the romance, have been interpreted as disrespect for Snow White's legacy and the emotional connection many viewers have.
The cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power and what a woman is fit for in the world. And so when we came to reimagining the actual role of Snow White, it became about the fairest of them all, meaning who is the most just and who can become a fantastic leader. And the reality is, Snow White has to learn a lot of lessons about coming into her own power before she can come into power over a kingdom.
These big bad feminists now are telling us that's ridiculous. How dare you want to meet a handsome prince and be swept off of your feet and live happily ever after? No, you should want to be the prince. You should want to go out and fight the bad guys with a sword.
This contrast with the traditional image of an enthusiastic Disney princess has created a significant disconnect, fueling online criticism and even raising concerns within the industry, with some initial supporters reportedly expressing unease.
It was supposed to come out like a year and a half ago, and then we went after them so hard because of their variety of ridiculous sins that they actually went into full-scale reshoots on Snow White when we announced that we had a competitor.
This internal concern, combined with fan outrage, presents a challenging PR situation for Disney. Narrative alterations in Disney's Snow White adaptation are another major point of contention. The reported downplaying or removal of traditional romance, a cornerstone of the original fairy tale, has been met with disappointment and anger. Zegler's statements about the film not focusing on love and potentially reducing the prince's role have been particularly impactful.
God forbid a woman dream about true love. We're all just sitting around here, maybe I could be president one day. I hate men, I just want to be president. That screams Disney princess. Oh my God, I'm literally getting enraged. Once again, I feel like I'm back in 2022. Yeah, the entire film's about a love story. So, yeah, it's about a love story because that's what the point of the film is. And I'm sorry that chivalry and a man pursuing you is now deemed as stalking, which now it's kind of making sense why men are opting out of the dating scene.
The reimagining of the Seven Dwarfs as magical creatures instead of little people, while intended to be progressive following criticism from Peter Dinklage, has also been criticized as abandoning an iconic element.
Remaking the movie, they just got rid of the dwarfs. Okay,
but what do they call them?
Why would they get rid of the dwarves though?
Magical
creatures. But they have one token dwarf amongst these magical creatures. You actually just went backwards. You actually just erased the dwarfism side of it. The disability, like we're a disability group, you just erased that whole image. The argument should have been from Peter Dinklage, there's power of being on TV, there's power of television, and to put 7 people with dwarfism on camera in a major Disney movie, there's still power there. If the story is offensive, change the story, don't change the characters.
This perceived disregard for the source material in favor of forced modernization has significantly contributed to the negative reception and provided ample material for South Park's satire, highlighting the delicate balance between adapting classics and preserving their core appeal. The cumulative effect of casting controversy, Zegler's statements, and narrative alterations has reportedly resulted in substantial backlash, directly addressed by South Park's satire. The feeling among longtime Disney fans that their childhood memories are being mocked. The departure from traditional elements and the perceived disrespectful attitude towards the source material have created a significant disconnect, amplified by the perception that these changes are driven by wokeness over genuine artistic vision. The sentiment that Disney is prioritizing superficial diversity over meaningful storytelling. South Park's race and gender-swapped parody aims to expose the perceived absurdity and forced nature of these changes. Reports even suggest negative internal reactions within Hollywood.
The producers, far left-wing activists in Hollywood, are turning on her, and Disney has canceled all of Rachel Zegler's appearances on their media platforms. Kind of tough.
This confluence of fan anger, industry unease, and South Park's satire paints a picture of a project facing significant public perception and box office challenges, underscoring the risks of alienating a loyal fan base when adapting beloved classics. South Park's Into the Panderverse directly targets Disney's perceived prioritization of superficial diversity, simply swapping race or gender without narrative purpose. The parody highlights how such changes can feel forced and tokenistic rather than genuinely inclusive. By applying this to their own characters, South Park exposes the potential for adaptations to feel like a checklist rather than organic or meaningful representation. These changes don't necessarily lead to richer narratives and can feel like superficial attempts at pandering without genuine understanding of the source material or nuances of representation. South Park's satire suggests that simply changing race or gender doesn't automatically make a story more diverse or meaningful, especially when the original had no inherent focus on identity. In Snow White's case, changing the ethnicity of a character whose name is tied to her skin color can feel jarring and undermine iconic elements. South Park's critique resonates with those who see these adaptations as pandering for social credit, forcing a critical examination of the motivations and effectiveness of such strategies and prompting a discussion on what constitutes meaningful representation. The Snow White controversy has reportedly extended to Disney's promotional strategies, with alleged cancellation of Rachel Zegler's appearances. This drastic measure suggests significant concern within Disney about the negative publicity. Limiting Zegler's exposure aims to distance the studio from her controversial statements and shift focus to the film. This alleged cancellation underscores the severity of the situation and the impact of Zegler's comments, indicating Disney's need to control the narrative. This was a tough situation for Zegler, highlighting the prioritization of damage control over traditional promotion and the power of public perception. It serves as a reminder of the intense scrutiny of high-profile adaptations and the importance of navigating public discourse with sensitivity. The intense backlash, Zegler's statements, and South Park's satire have reportedly thrown Disney into pure panic mode, particularly regarding box office performance. Disney's reported $300 million investment, making potential failure a major concern for CEO Bob Iger. The film's alleged abysmal IMDb rating starkly indicates negative sentiment. A major flop tied to an iconic property would be a nightmare for Disney, especially amidst other challenges. Disney recognizes the severity and potential long-term brand damage, reportedly leading to alleged attempts to engage with South Park's creators to halt further satire, viewed as a direct threat. The high stakes and potential for significant financial and reputational damage, serving as a cautionary tale about alienating fans when adapting beloved classics. In a dramatic turn, reportedly as a direct response to negative reception and South Park satire, Disney has confirmed plans to reboot their live-action Snow White adaptation. This is a course correction, acknowledging a massive mess and one of their biggest failures. The decision to restart a film still years from release highlights extraordinary concern. This reboot aims to win back angry fans and salvage a troubled project. Bringing in a new creative team underscores Disney's acknowledgement of a flawed initial vision. This drastic measure indicates a willingness to absorb losses and delays for a more positively received adaptation. This is a tacit admission of critical missteps in the initial approach, including narrative alterations and handling of the lead actress's public persona. By starting anew, Disney signals a desire for a more traditional interpretation, potentially reinstating romance and reconsidering the dwarfs. This unprecedented move underscores the immense pressure on Disney to protect core properties and the significant impact of fan backlash and sharp satire. The success of this reboot will be closely watched as a case study in balancing honoring classics and adapting them for contemporary audiences. So, Disney is hitting the reset button. Will this appease the disgruntled fans? Can they escape South Park's satirical shadow? The future of Snow White hangs in the balance, a testament to the power of audience expectation and the sting of a well-aimed joke. What do you think about this whole Snow White saga? Are you surprised by Disney's decision to reboot? Let your voice be heard in the comments below.